face at the ridiculousness of it. "That kind of place isn't for Commander and me. I'm too old for that kind of showy stuff," she said. Dinah was somewhere in her 50s. She kept the exact number quiet, even from me. Commander was in the same age range. She was divorced, and he was widowed. She'd been okay with keeping their relationship uncommitted, but he'd wanted it all to be proper and legitimate, so she'd finally agreed to become Mrs. Blaine. 2 upcoming weddings," Rhoda Klein said, looking up from the dolls she was making. "You do know they always say things go in threes." When I looked up, the whole table was staring at me. "No way," I said. "I'm fine with things the way they are, and so is Mason." There was so much baggage that came with middle-age dating. His kids, my late husband, his ex-wife. It was enough that we had decided to belong to each other, though I'm not even sure either of us knew what exactly that meant. I thought it was an adult version of going steady. I brought up the schedule, glad to be able to change the subject. "Adele, it's time for your class." Adele pursed her lips at me, no doubt annoyed that I'd spoken first. "Okay, put away your projects and make room for our new students." Adele began patrolling the table to make sure everyone did as she'd ordered. We had tried putting on what we called Yarn University at the bookstore, and it had been a tremendous success. Mrs. Shedd was always looking for new revenue streams, so had urged me to keep offering classes. Part of my duties as event coordinator / head of the yarn department / assistant manager was to run the classes. It made sense, since they were events at the bookstore. The plan was to offer a new group of classes each month. The class about to begin was in Tunisian crochet. The technique produced stitches that had a different texture than regular crochet and almost resembled knitting. Adele began to lay out a selection of long hooks and hooks with cables attached as people began to come in. My job was to be the greeter, so I stood at the entrance of the yarn department and checked people off as they arrived. There were going to be 5 of the hookers and 5 outside students. Cece Collins came sailing across the bookstore first. "Sorry I missed happy hour, dear," she said, giving me a hug. Cece was our resident celebrity. Her career had spanned decades, and until recently, she'd always been referred to as a veteran actress, which really meant old and on the back burner. But then Cece had gotten a supporting lead in Caught by a Kiss, a movie about a vampire who crocheted, and her new position was cemented when she was nominated for an Academy Award. Cece was self-absorbed, but at the same time she had an incredibly generous spirit. She took an empty seat and folded her hands on the table like a polite student. Our next arrival seemed a little prickly. When I asked her name, she leaned over and pointed to it on my clipboard with several rapid taps. "Susan Dreyer," she said. She glanced over at the table with obvious disdain before asking where the instructor would be. When Adele waved her hand, Susan took the seat adjacent. "Lauren Plimpton," the next arrival said. "My sister was going to come too, but she flaked." I glanced up at her. She was dressed in comfortable jeans and a fuzzy gray hoodie. My immediate impression of her was that she was quiet and would be no trouble, which was good, since I'd already given the trouble spot to Susan. When Lauren was asked to tell us about herself, she hesitated before saying she was divorced with 2 kids, and she'd learned how to crochet when she had to do a lot of waiting around, but gave no more details. Susan didn't need an invitation to give us her bio. She assured us that she was a very experienced crocheter who could have taught herself Tunisian crochet, but she decided it would be interesting learning from a qualified instructor. "You are qualified," Susan said, peering over her glasses at Adele. Adele took the comment as a reproach.